My name is Luhr Jensen. I'm president and owner of Luhr Jensen and Sons, fishing tackle manufacturer here in Hood River, Oregon. I lived here all my life, which is somewhat less than the 70 years that the company's been in existence. The company was started by my father, Luhr Jensen Sr., in 1932 and run by my two brothers and myself for the last 50 years, 40 years. I've been here almost 40 years. My father was a good fisherman, an enthusiastic fisherman, and somewhat crafty with his hands. And during the Depression, when he couldn't afford to buy his fishing lures, he made his own, and he and a couple of friends fashioned some dyes and used glass beads and spinners and things that they made, and that business then grew into what you see today, or what we have experienced here today, into a relatively significant company. And we're a significant contributor of employment here to the local community, probably the biggest in this 20,000 people valley at this particular point. And I think that our industry, which was our small company in this industry, is based upon the salmon here in the Columbia River. I grew up in a household where my father watched the dams being built on the river. The first dams here at Bonneville in the late 30s, ultimately in Grand Coulee in the 40s, and then on beyond that, McNary and John Day Dam, the Dalles Dam, and others. Those dams on the Snake River, the four lower dams. All told, I'm sure that there are well over 200 dams in the greater Columbia River system. Since the 30s and the 40s, when the dam building began, and for good reasons, we've seen a decline in the amount of habitat, amount of available habitat. Grand Coulee Dam actually totally blocked off all of the upper reaches of the Columbia that goes up into Canada. That was lost and lost forever. And what we used to call the summer hogs, the fish that were 70 pounds to 90 pounds, those were killed. They're made extinct. Those fish no longer exist. In looking at the river directly behind me, the Greater Columbia River, we're looking at about a mile across. We'll see the White Salmon Bridge, a bridge that goes over the White Salmon River that goes up towards Mount Adams. And it covers a nice watershed area of some 600, 700 square miles all the way up to the Mount Adams, which is about 60 to 70 miles away in that direction. That river was a significant contributor to our salmon and our steelhead population, and that's the river that my father used to fish in so much when he'd tell his stories about the 30 or 40 salmon that he might have caught that afternoon, and he brags about that like all men do about their fishing exploits. But that river was a significant contributor. They put a dam on that some 70 years ago, a small dam for irrigation, and perhaps they might have said flood control, but I don't know that. That dam is scheduled to be taken out. Will that make a significant contribution to the fishery in that area? Perhaps it will. We would hope that it will, but it's you might say, a portent of the future that perhaps we don't need all these dams that we have. The rate we're going now, those salmon and those steelhead will be extinct in a few years, some years down. Do we want the salmon in our future? Do we want them here for our children to catch and to enjoy and to continue to be an icon? If we do, we must make accommodations for that. And that means that we simply must be looking at the habitat and looking at the abilities for these salmon to restore themselves through some of these actions that we know we have to take. Most notably, and I would believe that it happens to be the dams on the lower Snake River. We need to open up that access to those areas for the spawning and the rearing of salmon.